Welcome to salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salcido, and tonight I'm continuing my review of the original Twilight Zone TV series. As always, you can find all episodes of my show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here on the live streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Trouble Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, you can share it with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can also sign up for the Patreon page and get 1 extra episode of True Paranormal Stories on the web every week whenever possible. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And I believe that takes care of all of that. So we are on episode 31 of the Twilight Zone, the original series, season 1. And so this is about a man named Roger Shackelforth. He's desperately in love with a woman named Leela, and who, of course, is not very interested in him. And a stranger hands him the business card of an old professor who's named A. Damon. I didn't realize that probably because I didn't see the card on the episode. I didn't notice the print on the card, but that is really pretty direct, considering Damon's. That's sort of the root of the word, or part of a version of the word, of course, demon. And of course, demon has different meanings throughout time. But and it's of course A period, so it's initial, but still you have A Damon. And of course, this happens when at a place where there's this massive line to get to be able to use the telephone, the payphone. And this man who needs to use the phone ends up paying everyone off to get them to let him go ahead of them. And when Roger refuses, this man gives him this business card. So, and says that Damon can help with any problem. So Roger visits this professor, and after they talk, and Roger is confused, nothing that Damon is saying seems to make sense to him. Damon suggests that I lost my spot here. So anyway, so yeah, let me see here. So after this, Damon makes some suggestions that to Roger for what he needs. Roger refuses all those and asks for something that would help him win the love of Leela. And of course, this Damon, this professor, is not happy about this. He wanted to sell Roger something a lot more expensive because the love potion, of course, is only $1. Originally, he wanted to sell Roger this glove cleaner, which is apparently the implication is some kind of poison, possibly. So, but Roger takes the love potion and buys the love potion, and of course Damon warns him that after Leela takes this potion, she will fall madly in love with Roger, and and that will be her only interest, basically. And he thinks that's what he wants, so he takes this potion and adds it to some wine, and so she ends up drinking this potion within this wine, and it works the way this professor, this Damon, said it would. And of course, he also said, he told Roger that it'll work, but you won't like the results, basically. And so after everything goes on for a little while, the two, Roger and Leela, get married, and at some point, Roger returns to the professor to buy this glove cleaner, which of course is a poison, it turns out, for $1,000, which is, of course, all of Roger's savings. And Damon cautions Roger that the glove cleaner, quotation marks there, is odorless, tasteless, and completely undetectable. But it must be used immediately and completely, or the user will lose his nerve. Basically, the person that is going to use it on someone will lose their nerve and never again have the courage to use it on anyone. And so Roger, after sort of being hesitant to do so, he ends up paying for it. And after he leaves, this Damon, this professor, says, first the stimulant and then the chaser, which of course the episode is called The Chaser. And so Roger gets home and prepares a glass of champagne with the new potion and is going to give it to Leela. And Leela, of course, is all over him because of this love potion. And in the process of this, he ends up spilling the champagne with the cleaner in it. And of course, that means it's useless at that point. And it turns out, at the same time, Leela tells him that that she's going to be having a baby, so that she's pregnant. And Roger is shocked, and of course, that's part of why he drops the champagne glasses as well, as being out of balance and everything. And after he does this, of course, the show ends with him saying he couldn't have gone through with it anyway. And then he passes out as Leela's still there and has no idea what was possibly going to happen. And the show ends with the shot sort of traveling through the living room of the apartment of Roger and Leela's apartment out to the terrace, to this other outside sitting area. And Damon relaxes, sitting there with a cigar, and he's basically laughing somewhat to himself, and has a cigar and is puffing on it, and blows out a ring from the cigar that, of course, is shaped like a heart. And then the show is over. So again, very well done. The guy that played that professor, that Damon, did really well acting that part. Really, everyone in that show always does well, but it was, the writing and everything else was very, very well done for that character. And yeah, makes you wonder. And this is something that's going to come up in a future show, I think. Future review show of these episodes. How do we always know that everyone we encounter out in the world is a regular person, the way we think they are? And whether it's a ghost or spirit or someone from some other level of reality, who knows? So, and yeah, you might not want to involve yourself with anyone that is supposedly named Damon. I would think that might be the other lesson in that show. Just a guess, though. And that's just my opinion, of course. But yeah, so that's that episode, and we can move on to the next one here. Got through that one faster than I expected. But yeah, I thought it was really well done. I didn't even know about the character's name being Damon in that show. They had the business card, but I just didn't notice I didn't see the business card, the print on the business card. So that's the joys of being legally blind watching these shows, but also helps when you find descriptions, summaries of these shows online, and they have little details like that in there that you might have missed. So very useful in a way, even though it is a bit of a spoiler, kind of. But moving on to the next one here. This is episode 32 of season 1 of the Twilight Zone. And let me see here. I have to close that. And this episode is called A Passage for Trumpet. So this show is about Joey Crown, who is a trumpet player in New York City. I'm just now noticing that a lot of these shows take place in New York City, which is amazing because New York City is really common in a lot of other fictional universes. It's sort of the home base for a lot of the Marvel Comics characters from over the years. It's also plays a major part in Stephen King's Dark Tower series, which I have reviewed in previous episodes of this show. So I almost wonder if I need to look into the history of that city and see what possible reasons there could be for it showing up in so much fiction that has to do with sort of the unexplainable or the paranormal or magical or science fiction even. So anyway, so at this point, Joey Crown, this trumpet player, has no money and no friends and no job due to drinking too much. And so he's looking for work again, and he's turned down by the manager of his old favorite club, who, even though he appreciated Joey's ability to play, he just basically doesn't feel that Joey is reliable. So Joey is crushed and ends up selling his trumpet at a pawn shop for cash, and goes out to the city and doesn't know what he's going to do. He ends up stepping out in front of a speeding truck, and when he comes to, he finds that nobody can see or hear him, and so he's, in his mind, that means that he must be dead. He must have passed away there on the road. And no one, again, he goes all around town, the places that he knows, and no one notices him in all these familiar places. So he goes back to this nightclub where he used to play, and everyone there, of course, is the same way until he finds this trumpet player out in the back who is very, very good at playing, and also can hear and see him. And this trumpet player explains that the reason that Joey, or that he can hear and see Joey, is that Joey is in some kind of a limbo, different sort of an in-between space. And so all the people that he encounters in this space are the ones that are actually dead, which is a really fascinating statement because that makes me think is either this is all sort of taking place within Joey's own consciousness, and this other being is there inside of it, or it's some kind of time travel reference. I have no idea. But either way, he tells Joey that Joey has a choice to return to the living if he wants to, or basically finishing the journey to the afterlife. And but he reminds Joey of all the good things that happened in his life, and the possibilities of good things, and encourages him to go back and try things again, basically. And of course, Joey wants to know this guy's name, and this guy says, "Call me Gabe," or Gabriel, which is of course the name of an archangel in the Bible, and that has the ability. And this is just a rough summary of this from Wikipedia, although I have heard of this before, so I'm pretty sure it's somewhat accurate. Who has the ability to, I lost it just there, basically is able to communicate with humanity, sort of acting as a messenger from God in the Bible. So this idea of it being this messenger figure, or this other figure that is there specifically for Joey, in other words. So everything fades. Joey falls asleep and wakes up on the street after the collision and is shaken but uninjured. No injuries. And this driver, who's nervous, he doesn't want any kind of interaction with the authorities or the insurance or anyone. And so he says he'd appreciate it if he and Joey could just keep the whole thing to themselves, and gives Joey a bunch of money, saying that his driving record is on the line. So Joey goes and buys his trumpet back, and later that night he's playing the trumpet alone on his apartment building's roof when a young woman that had apparently recently just moved in, she was hanging laundry there, and they started talking, and basically they get along really well, and the show ends with everything seeming like it will turn around for Joey. So that's basically where it ends, with him having a new lease on life. And so yeah, that's where that one ends. This idea of making contact with other beings in possibly other levels of reality, and or within your own, I guess, your own mind, is sort of the thoughts there. And again, I really wonder about that reference. And so I don't know, but the way that there is this other level of reality, as far as this character sees it, is an amazing idea. This idea of limbo as well. Of course, that's the idea of people who have supposedly passed on in a lot of fiction. Usually, it is the case that the character in a TV show or movie or whatever is dead, and no one around them can see them, and then the story goes on from there. That's what was amazing about this episode here of this show, is that according to this other being who looked like a regular person, but apparently was not, that was not the case there. He specifically said that Joey was the only one that was alive, in a sense, and everyone else around him was dead. So again, I just really wonder what that means. Of course, I think you'd have to do a lot of research to find out, get the details on that from whoever the writer was for that episode, and sort of all these details that maybe don't always make it into the shows, or they're just left there to be vague, for anyone to interpret as they want to, which I also think is amazing. I have no problem with that. But yeah, so it was a neat episode, and so yeah, that's all that we have for this show here. I don't think I have time to start a new reviewing another episode here. We only have like 3 or 4 minutes left, but just to go over the episodes that I will be reviewing, and the Twilight Zone episodes I will be reviewing next time. I can do that a little bit here. Episode 33 is called Mr. Bevis. I'm not sure if it's Bevis, Bevis. That's another sort of, has a similar theme to Trumpet. I won't go into too much into that, but it does involve sort of this idea of either basically other beings from other levels of reality interaction. A lot of these shows do. The After Hours, I really am excited to review that one. It's sort of, this is the one that I actually mentioned earlier, that in the previous episode here, that goes over the idea of how do we know that the people around us that we don't know, how do we know exactly if they are regular people or if they are other beings of some kind. Episode 35 is The Mighty Casey, and that actually is about baseball in a way. So there's that one. And then the last one that I have to review, because it's the last one I've watched so far, is called A World of His Own. And that is about a playwright, and covers some ideas that I've talked about before on this show and other shows. And of course, the main idea there is, where do we get our ideas from? And why is it that so often when people are making projects and creating characters for stories, why do they so often do things in the story that you don't expect them to do? So that is a neat one as well. Of course, I'm partial to that because of being into writing myself and having had experiences with that directly, where characters did things that I wasn't expecting. And it's one of the joys in a way sometimes. Other times it can be a bit frustrating, but it's still always amazing, because then you just have to work with it and see where the story goes from there. But yeah, so that will be those are the last 4 episodes of the show that I have to review in these next 2 episodes of Salsido Paranormal. And not sure when these will come out and what episode numbers they will be of my show here. Will just depend on schedules and plans and all that stuff for the rest of October. Really glad that we made it to October of this year, and because it's going to be, Halloween will be the 4th anniversary of the podcast of Salsido Paranormal, which is really amazing that the show has been around for almost 4 years now. So, of course, a lot of schedule changes here and there and all that, but yeah. So thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.